It seems like so basic, but why is it such a hard concept to grasp? Then let me go to my woman and ask her, hey, do you think that I'm a good leader in our household? And if I'm not a good leader in our household, let's talk about ways that I could be better. He said to me, that's why Black men are afraid to show emotions, and that's why Black men don't feel like they have a safe space. They're afraid to be called feminine. So calling men dusty, dirty bums is a bit much. The woman will glow and give you more and go beyond and do so much for you because you're taking some of the load off of her. She's not having to ask. She's feeling protected. She's feeling seen. She's feeling taken care of. Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Meloney P podcast. I'm your girl, Meloney P, and we are here to have a conversation. Listen, it's this man that comes on my Instagram page often. And his name is Yada_Awakening on Instagram, but his actual name is Minister Yadan Yada. And he is always on Instagram and on different social medias. And I think he has a YouTube channel as well, really kind of going in at this man should be a provider, woman should be a nurturer, but really focusing on the fact that, you know, women cannot dwell in their divine femininity if a man is not in his masculine. And he likes to say often that women cannot be in their feminine and their divine feminine energy, these are his words, if she's having to pay bills, she's having to work, etc., etc. Now, when you go to his page and you go to, you know, the comment section, there are quite often a lot of men who are not in agreement with this man. And I can see why, but I can also see why they should be. Now, I always say in my podcast that a lot of these podcasts are about divisiveness. They're more so about tearing each other down, especially in the Black love space, than they are about like kind of understanding. I think that one thing that we have to focus on is not so much, you know, the roles and the thought process of everyone, but coming to a conversation and to something that you don't understand or don't agree with some type of level of wanting and yearning for understanding. So you have a lot of the podcast, a lot of the conversation when it relates to Black love that is very divisive and very much, I ain't doing this if you ain't doing that, yada, yada. We've already talked about it. We ad nauseum. I literally saw just recently where there was another, you know, African man that was on social media talking about 50, 50, 50, 50. And it's just such a dead conversation. And I was showing my brother that particular Instagram video, and you know, he was like, there's so many people who are trying to replicate Kevin Samuels, and there's so many people who are trying to get on that train, the train to heaven, but they're trying to get on that train because they see that it works. They see that people respond to it. They see that it gets the views, it gets the clicks. And I get it, because sometimes we have to post and talk about things that maybe aren't our passion or we aren't fully into. But at some point, you got to kind of take a step back. Like, you know, you got to take a step back and be like, okay, am I helping the culture or am I dividing the culture? And these conversations and a lot of men, there are a lot of men who have the Kevin Samuel-esque conversations. And I don't even think they have these conversations because they truly believe in it. I think they have it because they know it's popular and it'll get the views and it'll cause debate and it'll cause, you know, dissension, basically. Now, back to Yada, Minister Yadan Yada. I feel like I'm messing that name up. He posted a video, and I wanted to go into this video from a space of hearing my points, hearing my opinions, hearing my thoughts as a woman. And my hope and prayer in this conversation is that a man won't come in the comments or do a stitch or be defensive, but yearn for understanding. So I'm gonna play this video that is getting a lot of attention. It has 18.4 thousand likes and 831 comments on Instagram. So I'm gonna play this and we're gonna talk about it.
Dusty bums believe that women should dwell in their divine feminine regardless of the situation. But if a man is feminine, a woman cannot dwell in her femininity. She's going to become masculine because she's going to have to provide. She's going to have to protect because she no longer can trust this man to lead. When a man dwells in his divine masculinity, this woman becomes soft. She starts to glow. She starts to smile with her eyes. She just starts to become heaven on earth. A man has to understand that a woman is a divine reflector, and she will reflect who you are, not who you want to be, but who you are. So if a woman is acting out of her character, if a woman is yelling and screaming, if a woman's demanding, you have to look in the mirror and check yourself. A woman's also a divine nurturer. She will nurture whatever you put on her. If it's financial, if it's mental, if it's spiritual. If you give her the devil, she's gonna give you hell. But if you give her peace, she's gonna give you heaven. A man has to understand who a woman is, and first he has to understand who he is. You cannot demand a woman to be feminine when you're not masculine. It doesn't make sense. And a woman cannot dwell in her divine femininity if a man's dwelling in his divine femininity. A man must dwell in his divine masculine. So I can feed your energy, you can feed mine. You nurture, I protect. You know, I lead, I guide. I'm here to elevate this woman on each and every level because that's what divine masculine men do. We don't lead by force. We lead by kindness and calmness. All praises due. All praises due.
So here's the thing, you know, if I'm coming at this video from a spirit of not defensiveness and a spirit of, you know, really kind of getting an understanding of what this man is saying, you really do have a lot to learn and you have a lot of takeaways, whether or not you agree or you don't agree. I think that some of his wording is a tad bit aggressive, you know, calling men dusty, dirty bums is a bit much. And I think when you lead with that, it kind of already triggers men to point and look other way. You know what I'm saying? Like if you start a conversation with "you idiot," then really what you say after that is really not going to hit as hard as it should. But on the other side of that, you know, men are very much masculine creatures, and if they are being, as he states, what did he say? He said dusty bums, and he really focuses on men operating in their masculine energy, then maybe we shouldn't be so delicate with them to not call it as they see it. Now, even with that being said, I truly don't agree with calling these men dusty bums. I just don't think that speaking that over a man is anything that is going to produce something good. A man is already going to come from a space of defensiveness if you call him a dusty bum in the first sentence of you talking to him. Yearning to understand what this man is talking about, all these cliche words. I feel like people throw around divine masculine and divine feminine, and it sounds good, so they just say it, but they don't truly know what it means. So the divine masculine and feminine are spiritual concepts that some believe complement and complete each other. Divine masculine is the consciousness that gives birth to the universe, or the seed and an idea from which it comes. Some believe that one god or the main gods in their religion embody the divine masculine, and that these gods serve as models for masculinity. Now, the divine feminine, the universe itself, or everything that is experienced around us, including the sky, ocean, trees, earth, wind, smell, and beauty. The divine feminine can also be seen as a spiritual counterpart to the masculine worship structures that have dominated organized religion. Some believe that the divine feminine energy can help people grow personally by connecting them with nature and allowing them to assess their innermost selves. It sounds kind of scary, honestly. So I feel like, you know, if you don't understand, if you don't agree, do the research, do the work to try to see where this man is coming from. Now, I was on YouTube looking at some of his past interviews, and a lot of men were very defensive at his way of thinking, because they're thinking that because he is a man with a lot of money and a lot of access, it's very easy to call another man a dusty bum if he can't pay 100% of the bills. And I feel like that's where I'm not going to agree with this man, because I don't think that if you have to have help from your woman to pay bills for your household, that makes you any less of a man. Now, I feel like the ultimate goal probably should be, hey, man, leader, let me just take care of everything in terms of the household bills. Is that the goal? Yeah. Should that be the goal? Yeah. But I don't think that you should call a man less of a man because he can't pay all the bills. In one of his interviews, someone asked that same question, and he said, if you can't pay all the bills, then you ought to get another job. And if you can't pay all the bills, then that should be your aim and your target as you're working. You should be growing businesses and doing all these things to accrue money to give your family a comfortable lifestyle, to not make your woman go out and work 8 hours and then come home and take care of the kids and cook and clean and these things. So I feel like when you listen to understand what he's saying does make sense, but again, you can't be calling these men dusty bums. Now, he goes on in this clip to say that if a man is feminine, a woman becomes masculine. And that's very, very true. And I feel like when you look at that, I could totally understand how a man can see that and get triggered. A man can see that and feel defensive because it almost points to the man as a lack thereof. It points to the man as being less of a man. And I feel like any man that you call feminine or has feminine energy, most men are not going to take well to that description. But I think when you dig a little deeper, you kind of get an understanding. So normally in a relationship, you have a male masculine energy and you have a feminine female energy. And one thing that Dr. Umar says that I feel like he says a lot of good stuff too, it's one of those things where you have to kind of sift through some of the outlandish stuff and get to like the life lessons and the meat of what he's saying. But you can't have two feminine energies or two masculine energies if you're trying to have a thriving relationship, a thriving home. I agree with that. I just agree that, you can't have two of the same energies and then, because that means that one energy is lacking. That means that probably one energy is lacking and that one of those energies that is present is probably OD. That also means that if one energy is lacking, somebody who shouldn't be in that energy might be in that energy, which is what he talks about. Women will turn into this masculine energy when they don't have a masculine energy to lead, to protect, to provide. Yada awakening. So I think I just said that, I'm not here for the dusty bum, but I get where he's going. And listen, maybe that's our issue. Maybe our issue is that we like to coddle men. I don't know. But I do feel like when a man is called feminine, it is triggering. And anything said after that might be in one ear and out the other. I know from my personal opinion that I don't like to be called a masculine woman. I think especially because it has like Black woman hate undertones a lot of times, but I can understand how someone calling a man feminine could be triggering. And then again, they can tune you out. Everything else you say is going to be tuned out. So I get it. So I think the delivery has to be better, but a feminine man, I almost feel like, can we call it something else? Like, can we call it something else? Maybe we can call it an unhealed man, something like that, to where the word doesn't get more light than the meaning and the education behind it. I was talking to my therapist last week and she was saying that, she hates to even call it a mental health issue. Like, she hates to call things a mental health issue. The undertones, sometimes the thought of what that sounds like can make people want to hide it even more. But, when you say that, I don't know, you call it something else or just call it, something other than a mental condition or a mental issue. I think the word mental just carries so much of a negative weight for a lot of people, especially a lot of Black men. So I feel like maybe if we take the word feminine out of it and give them something that's more palatable, then maybe they will understand. I 100% agree when he says a woman becomes more masculine when a man is operating in that soft feminine energy. Now, here's the thing. It is the expectation of a woman to have a man be able to lead a household, lead his ship, and provide leadership qualities. And I think a lot of men now, you know, they call them princesses sometimes. And I just hate to say that because I know that that's going to get more ears than what I'm really trying to say. But you got men who don't be pumping gas. You got men who be expecting women to pay for stuff like dates and stuff like that. You know, they're constantly online arguing with women. To me, when you see these men who are trying to replicate Kevin Samuels, and even Kevin Samuels said that that wasn't even his like aim to talk about and degrade women like that. But when he saw that it was popular, he just stuck with whatever got him the likes and the views. And so I feel like that's the same recipe for a lot of these men. And now it's so cool to be online arguing with women. Like, that is not cool. And it does give very feminine energy. Think about it. When you think of like yackling hens, you always be like, you know, these two women are on the phone gossiping and yackling, like yackling hens. So what do you think you sound like when you're on live or when you're, you know, somewhere and you're just going in on women? It makes me think about when Nene told Peter on the Real Housewives of Atlanta to stay out of women's business. It's giving that energy. Like, it's giving stay out of women's business. Now, I was having this conversation with someone recently, a male. And he said to me, he was like, that's why Black men are afraid to show emotions. And that's why Black men don't feel like they have a safe space, because if they do, then they're afraid to be called feminine. But I guess my answer to that is, if you know that you're not feminine, and if you know that you're doing what you should be doing for your children, for your wife, for your, you know, whatever, then that word shouldn't have any effect on you, because you know that's not you. It doesn't mean that you should be without emotions. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't cry. It doesn't mean that you should not be able to express yourself and your needs. That's not what I feel like we are saying or what he's saying. I just think that when you reside in a soft, like when you want to live a soft life more than a woman, that should be a problem. He uses these keywords often in a lot of his clips: provide, protect. Provide, protect, provide, protect. And I think with these words, people get so caught up in the words and they don't think about the meaning. When men hear the word provide, I feel like they automatically go to, I ain't like a woman ain't trying to pay no bills. And I just don't think that that's a number one mature way of thinking. But I also don't think that that's what most grown women mean when they say provide. There's a lot of things that you can provide without having to pay 100% of the bills, and that's just my opinion. Protect don't mean just simply, oh, if we're out in the streets and somebody try to talk to me or try to grab me or try to hurt me, then you beat them up. That is not the sole meaning of protect. And that's not even the meaning that I feel like he means or most women mean when they say that they want their man to protect them. Protect my heart. Protect my space, protect my energy, protect my mental. Like, that is what protect is to me. If you know that I am in danger, not just like out on the streets, but if I'm in danger, if you see something that I don't see in a friend, you know, protect me that way. If we're out in a social setting and something's happening that makes me feel uncomfortable, protect me that way. If you notice something off, protect me that way. If you notice that, hey, you know, in the mornings, I like to be whatever, like in the silence, protect me that way. If you know that, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, protect me that way. Protect me by not giving me cheeseburgers and you know what I'm saying? Like, those are different ways that a man can protect. And I'm hoping and praying that, you know, women are looking at protect and provide in those ways. Now, he goes on to say a woman can't trust a man to lead, then he's not a man. And again, I just hate the definites on that because I feel like it could be very triggering. Like, that's like saying if a woman can't cook, then she's not a woman. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a better way to say it, a better way to deliver it. But if we're being honest here, sometimes, you know, the truth hurts. So no matter how you say it, they're going to have an issue with it. Saying that, you know, a man, you want to trust your man to be a leader. And I feel like if I'm talking to my brothers out there, what that means is like, what is your track record when it comes to leading? First of all, I think it's such a healthy thing. What I imagine, what I want to happen is that, you know, you see these type of videos and instead of it causing dissension in your relationship or instead of it triggering you to be angry or whatever the case might be, why can't it trigger you to have conversation? Like, my hope would be that men, or like my man or whoever, like listens to this and it sparks something in their head to be like, you know what, if my job as a man is to lead, then let me go to my woman and ask her, hey, do you think that I'm a good leader in our household? And if I'm not a good leader in our household, let's talk about ways that I could be better. That is what a leader is. A leader is not always someone who is telling somebody what to do. Go here, do that, jump, wear this, wear that. But a leader is somebody who can take direction themselves. A leader is somebody who wants to be proficient and at the top of their job. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, take the trigger out of it, take the, feeling like someone is pointing the finger at you out of it, and use it as a resource to have engaging conversation and dialogue with your partner. And it goes both ways. It always goes both ways, because just like, we're using the word over and over again, divine femininity, hey babe, what does divine femininity mean to you? Do you feel like I'm operating in my divine femininity? If not, this is why I'm not. Or maybe the man might say, hey, I don't feel like you're operating in your divine femininity, and here's why. And then that should, encourage conversation, because the goal I feel like that we're always missing in these clips, these viral clips and this bullshit 50-50 conversation is, okay, there's obviously a disconnect in the relationship area, right? So how can we clear the disconnect? And I think that we don't ever operate from a space like that. We operate from young Miami 50-50. I ain't going 50-50 with you know what I'm saying? Like, we just take it to just the slums when we don't have to. I think it should really just generate and encourage just healthy conversations so we can grow, and I can go to a wedding next year for somebody, not another baby shower. You know what I'm saying? Like, make that cool. Make it cool to want to understand your partner. Make it cool to ask questions, and not ask questions just to say you asked a question and you can check it off the box for the day. No, you know what I'm saying? I see a lot of men I see do this. They're so proficient in their jobs, right? They put a lot of effort into their jobs. And I think women just I've heard a couple of them say this. They just want that same level of wanting to reach perfection in the household. Like, if you strive to be number one, there's something that's feeding you to strive to be number one in whatever area it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that this will kind of bridge more conversation. He also talks about a lot about, look at your woman, right? Look at your household. How is your household operating? What's the energy and the tone in your household? Is it happy? Is it joyful? Are people itching to get to your house because they feel that sense of family? Or is it the opposite? Is it more so, I don't want to mess with these people because whatever the case might be, or, people whispering behind your backs because they know that there's some toxicity behind your front door. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to take ego out of it. You have to take pride out of it and put the pride in the right place. You can put pride in being the best partner and husband you can be. You can put pride in being the best leader that you can be. And it's whatever and however you and your partner define it. Just because this yada guy is on social media telling us what his views are about it, maybe that works for him and his partner. When I look at her, I always wonder, I don't know much about the wife, but when I look at the wife, I be wondering, like, is this a kind of like relationship where a woman should be seen and not heard? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously that wouldn't work for me, but it might work for them. You know what I'm saying? So kind of just having those conversations with your partner. Now, he says that a woman will glow and smile from within when a man operates in his divine. And I always wonder, now this seems like such low-hanging fruit. It seems like so basic, but why is it such a hard concept to grasp? Here's my thoughts. I feel like women have so much power. Women have so much insight. Women have so much intuition. Women have just a set of magical skills that I think when a man finds an amazing woman partner, finds a wife or whatever, it has the ability to skyrocket him in every area of his life. But a lot of times men miss out on the jewel, the jackpot, the diamond that they have in their partner, because they're so maybe focused in another area, or their pride gets the best of them, or their anger gets the best of them, or whatever the case might be. Maybe they're always playing a PlayStation game, or they're always out there playing basketball, and they're not putting, the right attention and focus in their partner, in their household. And from my perspective, and from a lot of women I know perspective in my circle, women don't even be requiring much. Like, yeah, you got the subset of women out there who are like, I want you to take me to a spa. I want you to pay all the bills. I want you to do all this and do that. That's fine for them. I feel like that's not as big of a group as it portrays on social media. I don't think that a lot of women feel that way. I do feel like it's like a disease that's trying to spread. But I don't think the vast majority of women feel like my man got to pay for everything and I just want to sit there and be pretty. Women don't require much. Women require those masculine tasks. You know what I'm saying? That if I got a man, then there are certain things that I just don't feel like I should be doing, And I feel like, again, it goes both ways. But when he's saying that, a woman will glow and smile from within when her man is operating in that masculine divinity, it is the truest, realest thing. And it goes back to kind of having those discussions. Here's something. I had a friend, he's married, and he was telling me about, his wife, she takes her vehicle to get it serviced, meaning, going there and dropping it off or whatever to get the oil change. I don't even know how this came up, but he was saying that when it came up, she was saying that she really truly wished that she did not have to do that. And his thought process was, well, you've never communicated that to me. You always take it there when you're at work or whatever the case might be. So how would I know, right? So I feel like, expectations. What are my expectations from you as a leader of our household? Great conversation, great talking point. What are your expectations from me as a feminine energy in this household, as a woman of this household? And please let you know what my expectations are to you as the man in this household. That's an easy fix for that particular example. If your wife, if your woman expects for anything car related to be on you, do it. It's so simple. It's almost like that thing where you see a woman and a man in a car and they go to the gas pump and the woman gets out to pump her gas while the man sits there. Like, how could you even sit there? How could you even feel confident or good about yourself watching your woman pump gas while you sit there? To me, that's in every area. I would expect for my man to make sure that my car is good, my gas tank is full, my tires are good, okay? My oil is changed. I don't want to know anything about that. Just like I'm certain that he don't be knowing half the shit that's going on at our kids' school. I'm certain that he don't know half the shit that's going on at a grocery store, how much milk costs now, how much eggs cost now, because those are things that I'm okay with doing. Because in my opinion, it's not that I should be doing it solely, but I feel like that is something for my feminine energy to kind of take over in my head with my partner. You know what I'm saying? So when men do those simple, basic little things, those tasks that are so small, the woman will glow and give you more and go beyond and do so much for you because you're taking some of the load off of her. She's not having to ask. She's feeling protected. She's feeling seen. She's feeling taken care of. She's feeling like, I'm fucking this nigga for something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something I'm getting out of it, because when I leave my home and I'm in your home, and we are married and we have a family, then that comes with certain obligations. And when I see you doing that, that makes me want to tear your ass up in a good way, because I see that you're doing these things. And I put down here, we ain't got to talk about it. We ain't gonna talk about it, because it's like, it's not a game. This is not a game. This is just regular day-to-day shit. It's not up for debate or for conversation. When I see you moving, doing the things that I think that, a man should do without pause, without conversation, then it makes me be able to let my guard down, feel safe, and put my efforts in other places. I put down here, I do wonder, looking at the woman that he's talking to, I think that's his wife. She has her own page. I don't follow her, but I do wonder if in their relationship, she is just there to truly be like, how are they defining feminine energy in their relationship? Because I think he might be a Muslim, I want to say. I don't know, but I do know that he speaks a lot of the Muslim traditional conversation, So I know depending on the couple, you have to define it for yourself. I love when he says that a woman is a reflector. He says, look at your woman, how she acts, and it's a direct reflection on you. I love that ownership. And I said this a little bit in the beginning, but when you look at a man's woman, and whether she's smiling, whether she's sad, whether she's, whatever, it is a direct reflection on that man, because a man is leading a household, leading the relationship. And if a man is not doing his job, then a woman ain't gonna be smiling. She's not gonna be smiling. It's not gonna be all roses and butterflies. She gonna look stressed. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna be not operating in her feminine energy, so that light within ain't gonna be shining. I would encourage men to take a step back and look at their partners and be like, you know what? How does she look today? Does she look stressed? Does she look burnt out? Does she look sad? And if you see that, you don't just see it and then keep on going. You see it, and as the man, as the head, you say, hey, I'm noticing this in you. Let's talk about it. What do you need? That goes back to being a protector, being a provider. That ain't got to be nothing monetarily, but like, hey, what do you need? I notice that you're not acting yourself. What do you need? And then shut up and listen. I'm such an advocate of looking in the mirror for men and for women. Like, it can't always be somebody else's fault. You have to look in the mirror and take ownership of what you're doing to make a situation a situation. I love how he says about feeding energy, about elevating and protecting. This is a major key that I think a lot of time gets overlooked in these conversations. He says, first, a man has to understand who he is before he can understand his woman. He is a whole, not just, he has a whole, not just in one area. Men have to do the work. Now, it sounds fun to some people. Hey, I'm a leader. I'm gonna do the fun stuff. I'm gonna lead in the fun shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take the car to get the oil change. I'm going to, fix this shingle that's falling off the roof. I'm gonna do the shit that I think is fun, but it's not always going to be fun, right? Sometimes you have to get real dirty, real ugly, and go and get that healing. Go find out maybe the source of areas that you didn't know, existed, that you need to be healed. I love when he says that a man has to understand who he is before he can understand who his woman is. You can't lead somebody if you don't even know who you are. You can't head a household if you don't know who you are, where you come from, what your triggers are, what your trauma is. If you don't even want to admit that you have triggers or you have trauma, or if you want to just not talk about that shit, that's not how life works. That's not how life works, because you'll find yourself in a hamster wheel going nowhere. It goes for both people, but I love how he puts this onus on the man. Do the work, find out who you are. Be open to criticism. I think a lot of times the whole pride, defensive energy that is not of God, I think that takes over, and it just takes over to the point to where men can't learn and understand, because that is the strongest power. A man who is confident in himself, confident in his ability to lead the household, confident in the smile on his woman's face and takes pride on that. You are blessed, you are favored, and good shit's going to happen to you, period, point blank. And as it happens to you, it's going to happen to your family, to your kids, to your offspring, because you are leading the charge. I was looking today on Instagram and I saw that this man was praying with his little baby and going over gratitude stuff. And the baby probably had to be 2, maybe 3 years old. And I'm like, damn, that's really, really good. You know what I'm saying? Because he's setting the tone that in the morning, he said, give me your hands, close your eyes, and let's pray. And again, that shit is free. And I bet his woman is over there smiling her ass off and glowing from the inside, like he said, and smiling with her eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because she sees that leadership thing that this man is doing for their children, the pride that he's taking in to their children. So you have to do the work. And then finally, he says, lead by calmness and kindness. I love how he speaks about being a leader, not as a dictator, but more so as a partner, as a partnership, He doesn't come from what I have seen. He doesn't come from a space of, I rule over you, what I say go, and you just do what I say. And again, that comes from a lack of maturity. That comes from trauma. That comes from, no male energy that's positive in someone's life, having that experience to experience a man leading his family in a healthy way. If you've not seen that, then it might be difficult for you to be able to do that for your household. But leading by calmness and kindness gets you so far. Here's a lesson for me. when I was much younger, I used to be like, I always wanted the fun, you know, loud, boisterous type guy. But as getting older and being mature, I don't want that. Like, and I see it, you know, it's funny because me and my friend was talking about it, and it's like, it was this guy that she used to really, really like and used to wish, you know, her spouse was more similar to. He was loud. He was always telling jokes. You know, he was just the life of the party. And she was like, looking back at that was such an immature want on her part, because her man is very he's not quiet. You know, he's not a recluse. He is very gregarious and he is very outgoing, but he has that calming nature that she never knew that she needed. You know what I'm saying? So again, a lot of this comes from maturity. A lot of this comes from growth, healing, going through things. And in her situation, it goes to sticking shit out. You know, people be so quick to give up. People be so quick to like, you know, argue and not try to find a solution, to where you go on to the next person and then you take your drama and your trash to the next person. But you really have to do the work, take a step back, look at your situation, evaluate it, and act and move accordingly. So I'm gonna say this. I really enjoy Yada Awakening. I think that, like I said in the beginning, some of his words can be harsh. And I think that, you know, because he is coming from where he is now, which is a very successful, very monetarily, whatever the word, person, like he's rich, basically, he's well off, you know, it's easy to look at the result, but I do applaud him for talking about his struggle, for talking about, you know, when you dig deeper into his story, he wasn't always here. He traveled, he did the work, he got very strong into ministry, and from his research, from his healing, from his therapy, then he found his woman, and then he was able to now see what we're able to see the fruit of the work that he did, you know? So I like what he's talking about. And I guess I was saying that, you know, I am not really fond of him calling these men dusties, dusty bums. That is a bit much. But again, men don't need to be coddled. But I don't think a man is a dusty bum. You know what I'm saying? That's a bit much. But anyway, y'all, make sure you follow Yada Awakening. He's on Instagram, Yada_Awakening. It's Minister Yadan Yada. Look him up on YouTube, because I think that when you see these clips on Instagram, you kind of automatically judge him. But when you hear his story and hear the work that he did to get to where he is, as far as his relationships, it makes a little bit more sense. But I also want to speak to the black men. Like, don't look down on yourself. Don't feel like you are less than, because maybe you're not in a place right now to where your woman can stay at home, you know? Like, don't look down on yourself. As long as you have a plan, as long as that woman is smiling, as long as you're doing the things that you have the power to do, and the things that you guys sit down and have discussions over, what are his needs? What are her needs? How can we, you know, meet in the middle? Then shit, I would prefer that if I had to choose from, you know, a rich nigga. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, listen. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're following me on Tik Tok. I got some good shit coming out there. And I will see you in the next episode.